Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a quick look at and of course installing the MP Concepts chin spoiler available for the 15 to 17 GT, V6, and EcoBoost Mustang. You should be checking this out if you're looking for a much more aggressive front end look for your S550 by getting rid of the factory chin spoiler in favor for one that not only has a race inspired look, but has a much taller and much longer appearance with a more angular design. Now with that being said, the entire section here under your fog light bezel going back to your wheel well here is going to be a lot deeper there, and it comes up actually over some of the portion of the bottom of your front bumper. It's going to kind of cup into it like that, going up into the edges here. It's got a really nice body line hug up on the fog light bezel and all the way around to the wheel well. This guy here is finished in a stippled grain texture matte black finish, which basically means it's got a really fine textured black finish, and it's a injection molded ABS plastic using all OEM CAD data, meaning it was designed to be a perfect fit just like your factory one. Now this is going to use a lot of the factory hardware going back on, but it also does come with some extra hardware to bolt up some of the end caps here and to attach some of the brackets to your factory splash shield. Now I will say, if you have a non-performance pack Mustang, it should bolt right up to the bottom of that. If you have a performance pack Mustang like our GT here, the splash shield is designed a little bit differently, in which case you will have to drill very simply 3 small holes on each side of your splash shield. Now in my opinion, that's not a deal breaker just because first off, you'll never see it, and second off, it's easy enough to do with just a 5/16 drill bit or whatever drill bit size you want to attach it using your own hardware. Now with that said, you are going to have to pick up some hardware on your own in order to attach that. I'm going to be using some push pin clips, and I'll show you guys what that looks like in just a little bit. Now the price tag for this comes in right around 260 bucks. The install, I'm giving 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle it in the driveway at home with about an hour from start to finish, and I'm going to show you guys what all of that looks like on our GT Performance Pack. And again, remember that drilling is just going to be for Performance Pack models. Non-Performance Pack should be able to bolt right up to pre-existing holes on that splash shield. What do you say we get started? Tools used in this install include an impact gun, a drill and drill bit set, panel removal tool, flathead and Phillips head screwdrivers, 7mm deep socket and swivel socket is recommended, and a Sharpie. All right, pretty much everything we need to do is going to be underneath of the vehicle. Now we have a lift. If you don't have a lift, you want to be working on the ground with the jack and jack stands. Now first thing we got to do is get our factory belly pan off, this little shield underneath of the engine bay. Now in order to do that, there are several really small, maybe 7 or 8mm screws depending on your model. And then we have a couple of black push pin clips in each of the wheel well sections. I'm going to start there in the wheel wells with a panel removal tool, and then we'll head over to get all of the little bolts out of the way and then take the splitter off. All right, now for those push pin clips, we've got 1 underneath here on the frame, 2 connected to the wheel well liner here, and then 1 on the side. Now our 1 on the side is missing, so I'm gonna hit these guys underneath. All right, so you're basically just pulling down on the middle section, going up underneath, and pulling it out in one piece. All right, and then again, we have 1 here in the middle. Perfect. Same thing on the other side. The first set of 7mm I'm going to get off are the 4 right in the middle here toward the back of the vehicle. Grab your 7 socket, whether it be on an impact gun or a ratchet, and get them off. All right, so next we just have a bunch of 7mm. We have 2 on each side, and then about 7 or 8 right in the middle, and then 2 toward the back. All right, so now we can take our belly pan off. Set that aside. Now for this next step, you could do it on car or once you have the chin spoiler off the car. I'm gonna choose to do it now while it's on the car. I find it to be a little bit easier. We're gonna have to take off and transfer over our metal U-nut clips. These guys look just like that. There's about 10 of them straight across the top here, so let's just pull them out while we have easy access to them before we move on. All right, it's easy. They just pull straight back, but if you need to, you can grab a flathead to help pry some of them off. Do that for all of them. All right, set those aside. All right, switching over to a 7mm socket to get this corner one because it's facing the opposite direction. Do the same thing on the other side. Now we can get the rest of them. All right, this next one is facing the correct direction, but it's at a weird angle, so I'm still going to use my swivel. All right, now you can just work off the rest of them. All right, so now we can take the factory chin spoiler off. I'm gonna start at the corner here, pull it straight back, disconnect, work our way around. Set this guy aside. So we got our factory chin spoiler off of our 15 GT above me, and it's on the ground here next to our MP Concepts option. Let's go through some similarities and differences here. And as you can see, it is extremely different than the factory option. In terms of quality of materials, they're both made from an ABS plastic. They both have a stippled grain texture, which is just a really, really fine matte black textured finish to it. So it has that OEM look in terms of quality of materials, but in terms of design, we're looking at a totally different type of aggression. The factory chin splitter here, or chin spoiler at the edges, is very thin. It's something that we see traditionally on the front end of Mustangs, especially the GTs. It's just traditional. The new option here from MP Concepts not only is wider there, but it's also taller. You're gonna see a much more aggressive, almost race-inspired styling off of the edges there, with just a little bit more of an angular finish in the center, which is actually gonna mimic some of the body lines on that factory front bumper. This guy here is just all around gonna beef up that stealth or aggression at the front end of your S550, and with that, you're going to expect a very bolt-on style installation. There's a lot of the same factory tabs along the middle. The back end of it here, the 3 extended tabs are very different than factory, but they're just going to help attach it or bolt it up to the factory belly pan or splash shield underneath. At this point, guys, what I want to do is toss our factory one aside. We're going to pick this guy up, attach some of those metal clips we took off, and then bolt it up to the car. All right, next up we have to install our end caps on our new chin spoiler. So these basically line up right to the end. You're gonna put it just in like that and push them in so that the holes line up and you can see them go straight through. Now we can bolt these down here. All right, so now going underneath, and this is kind of an awkward space to be tightening things down in, but you're basically gonna lean it up against your leg here. There's 2 holes down here. We need to put our Phillips head and our 10mm nut on, 2 of them here, and then 2 right above it as well. I'm gonna start with the above ones. Put that Phillips head through the bottom, going up through the top. And this is where you just want to make sure everything's lining up properly. All right, you can grab your Phillips head to help get that through. All right, and then just make sure you're putting the 10mm on the other end. Grab your 10mm wrench to hold that in place. All right, do that same thing for all 4 there. All right, same thing for the 2 on the bottom. All right, so this section can be a little finicky. It's a really tight space to work with, but once you have that done on one side, repeat on the other. Before we can start installing on the car, we have one more step. Take one of those U-nut clips we took off while it was on the car, and we're gonna pop that onto the corner here. Do the same thing on both sides. All right, so now we can install it. Now you'll see this big pocket here is gonna hug the bumper there. So that's what we're gonna do first to get it to hold itself on. Swing this guy up. All right, so it's gonna latch right in there just like that. Grab some of those factory screws and we're gonna put them in loosely by hand to help hold this guy in place. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side and then focus on the middle. And then the last one in the corner is actually going to go from the top down. All right, so now I'm just going to grab my impact gun and start tightening them down and put them in as I tighten them down for the rest. All right, and you'll see for the middle, there's just these little tabs that line up to those U-nut clips and tighten them down to the bumper. So now we take our factory splash shield, tuck it up underneath. Now I'm going to bolt it up to the back side here where those 4 7mm screws were. All right, so now we can put our black push pin clips back on the sides. Remember, it goes on both sides. All right, so as you remember, there are these 3 tabs on each side here that are supposed to bolt up to your factory splash shield. Now on our 15 GT Performance Pack, our splash shield doesn't have holes that correspond with these tabs. So what we're gonna have to do is either one of 2 things. One, drill new holes in our splash shield in order to bolt these guys up, and grab some push pin clips or some extra hardware you have laying around or at your hardware store to bolt it up. Option number 2 would be to completely leave off the splash shield from our Performance Pack and cut these tabs off. I don't really like that route, so what I'm gonna do is line these guys up. I'm gonna grab my Sharpie, I'm gonna mark some holes, and I'm gonna drill a hole into each one of these, so 3 on each side. They don't even have to be very big holes, just enough to get some hardware on there. That's what we're gonna do. All right, so the way this works, you'll see this tab going straight down. You wanna carefully bend it up like that and meet it up to the splash shield. I'm gonna grab a Sharpie, I'm just gonna color in that hole there so I know where my hole is supposed to be. Do the same thing for all 3. This one's actually pretty close to the factory hole, but it's not close enough, so we are still gonna have to drill around. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, so I'm gonna drill 1/4-inch holes in each one of those spots I marked. I'm gonna be using black push pin clips, similar to the ones that we took off earlier. All right, again, since I'm using those black push pin clips, I can start to connect our brackets. All right, repeat that exact same process or whatever process you're using on the other side. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the MP Concepts chin spoiler available for the 15 to 17 GT V6 and EcoBoost Mustang. Again, guys, get yours right here at AmericanMuscle.com.